to Part of My Presence YouTube channel. I don't want to spend too much time on this. I don't really care. I never cared back 2 years ago when this story broke out with Meghan Markle marrying into the royal family and Princess Harry. The amount of fuss that I heard about this story and how they made it seem like there is a black woman who is now breaking down barriers and marrying into the royal family and elevating herself and all kind of crap. They made it seem like this European guy was going to be somehow elevating her. Meanwhile, if you do any research on the royal family, you realize that there's there's so many things wrong with their lineage, right? And how many I guess you could say pockets they're in as far as countries, as far as colonialism, as far as the slave trade, and so many other factors, right? And how they've raped and pillaged many countries and caused a lot of chaos in this world. And they had a hand in it. Matter of fact, if I'm not mistaken, I believe the monarchy is one of the top owners of land in the world. And how could that be when you look at the UK and you realize how small that amount of land is for them to be the top landowners in the world? But I digress on that. Let's talk about this Oprah interview very quickly, very quickly. So the Oprah Winfrey interview came out last night with Meghan Markle and Prince Harry, and a lot of the discussion was surrounding their time under the monarchy at Buckingham Palace and how they had to deal with a lot of restrictions, a lot of rules, a lot of traditional, I guess, gag orders that were placed on them, and how they were to conduct themselves in public or to communicate with the public. Now, there should be no surprise there. We're dealing with a royal family. There's certain traditions that you have to follow, and you can't really break protocol. So that should be expected. Now, the other part that was interesting about what she said was that there was a member of the royal family who made a comment voicing their concern on whether or not the child that they're going to have may turn out to be too dark. Like if you're too dark, you're disqualified from being royalty. Which again, to have that type of standard, knowing the royal history when it comes to things like incest and other factors that they've dealt with, it's kind of weird that they have this type of concern and this type of standard that this child has to meet. But here's the weird thing about this. None of this, it should be news. So Meghan Markle, being a black woman, and being the fact that she had a lot of issues going into this wedding, right, with her family and whether or not her father or her mother is going to be there, a whole bunch of different issues that were going on surrounding or leading up to the event. She knew the risks, she knew the issues, and she still went along with it. So knowing that you're marrying into this racist institution, then on top of that, your child is born, you decide to name him Archie, like the comic book, or like Archie as in Archie Bunker, the racist character from the 70s TV show, All in the Family. To have all those things transpire, and then now 2 years later, because you don't like the outcome, you want to be all of a sudden racially conscious, you want to be all of a sudden in tune with your blackness and somehow woke. But it makes you wonder, how much was she willing to tolerate from this family to the point where now she says enough is enough? It makes you wonder if she was willing to pay that price up to a certain point where the price became too high. And it just boils down to this for me. When you are dealing with family or institution or tradition that has certain family values or qualities that you cannot accept, that goes against your morals, that goes against your upbringing, then you should know from the start, it doesn't matter how much you think that you could tolerate it, how much you could think you could turn a blind eye to it. At some point in time, it's going to hit you so hard where it's going to beat you down mentally to the point where you have no choice but to leave. Now, I will commend Prince Harry for going along with her and denouncing everything, but you have to understand this. He is a product of this so-called racist environment. He is a product. He is someone who came from it. So for you to give this man two of your children, and to think that you being away from Buckingham Palace is somehow protecting your children from racism is completely bizarre. Because as long as they have that bloodline in them, they're going to be attached to that family whether you like it or not. And they're going to have to call those people relatives at some point in time and have close interactions with them. And who knows what might happen if there's ever a breakup or a divorce, what he's going to do and what links he's going to go to in order to have those children stay with him under the royal palace where he gets back all of his titles. Now, the interesting thing about this is the fact that he never said who made that comment. She never said who made that comment. And when Oprah was pressed about it to get more information, he told Oprah Winfrey that, well, not who it was, but who it wasn't. He said it wasn't his grandmother, which is the Queen of England, and it wasn't his grandfather. Okay, now remember, this guy is what, third in line to become the king, or fourth in line? I'm not too sure, but he's in line. So there's not many people that outrank him. So I don't see how it could be just anybody making this comment and he wouldn't have the power to say, put them in the dungeon or off with their heads, right? So he has some type of pull. So for someone to make such a comment and nothing happens to them, instead of Prince Harry asserting himself in his position, he decides to leave his position instead. It makes me wonder, who could it be? It has to be someone that outranks him. So the only people that could outrank him would be his brother, his older brother, right? Or his older brother's wife, his sister-in-law, or his father, Prince Charles. It could only be them. Because if it's not the Queen of England, if it's not the quote-unquote king, then again, it could only be those other people. Because everyone else would be under him, or everyone else would have no pull, or who is not in line to be the king. So I don't understand how this played out the way it did. Okay? And again, if you are saying that there's a lot of racism that they faced and there's a lot of issues that they face with this royal family and it's reminiscent of Princess Diana and what she's been through and he's afraid of this happening to his wife, then you have to understand you cannot in turn still ask for money from the royal family, still ask for a stipend, still ask for a security detail, all of those things, because you've given it up. So on top of that, why would you even want their money when their money is really from the people's money of England? And not only of England, it's really the people's money from Africa, the people's money from China, the people's money from India, the people's money from South America, people's money from all over the world, right? Because that's where the monarchy's money comes from. Nowhere else. They don't produce anything. They take. So all of this is really ridiculous. I don't want to spend any more time on this. To me, it's foolery. I don't like the fact that they're making this out to be a big deal. I don't like the fact that she's a victim in this situation when really this is what she chose. This is the life that she knows she's getting into. There's been many of people prior to her that deal with the same scrutiny that she dealt with. Yes, it's a little different because she had to deal with some racism, but at the same time, you had to have known that this could happen, but she wanted to try to taste that life. So I'll leave it at that. Tell me what you think. Like, comment, share, subscribe. Until next time, pardon my presence. Peace.